This video is brought to you by Extra. Go to metkevin.com/extra to learn more. And that course coupon code expires tonight for the programs on building your wealth. Hey everyone, me Kevin here. In this video, we're going to talk about everything that we know regarding the metaverse and how you might be able to stand to make money from it. But first, I want to introduce you to something that you may not be familiar with yet, and it's something that I've actually been using for over 5 years now. It's Matterport 3D scanning technology, and this specifically applies to this talk that we have now about the metaverse. This is a real-life property right here that was scanned with a 3D camera. In fact, I'll show you what the camera looks like just by driving right into here. There you go. That's a 3D scanning camera. And this camera is basically able to create a 3D rendering of all of the spaces that it sees as you take the photos around different areas. Now, the cool thing about this is all of these data points go into software and allow us to create what looks like a real 3D world. And what I think is fascinating about these sorts of Matterport scans is that when we talk about the metaverse and we talk about potentially being able to share experiences with other folks, we don't really think yet that a company like Matterport, which is a public stock and has already partnered with Facebook on certain things. I know we don't like Facebook so much, but we love Matterport. We might be able to, in the future, literally invite people, my guess, okay, this is my speculation, to our own experiences and destinations through the metaverse. Take a look at this. This right here is a scan that I did on a concierge 1-bedroom Disney cruise. This cost about $20,000. I'd be able to invite folks into this Disney cruise. Here it is. You can see it at dock. This is a Disney cruise. And I took this scan at the beginning of my trip. And this was still when our youngest son was in one of these sleepers. But anyway, theoretically, I might be able to invite you or somebody else to hang out with me in this space in virtual reality so that it's almost like we're together in person on my cruise or in some destination land by scanning the space that I'm in and then hanging out with you in virtual reality. Now, I'm not sure what that's going to be like. I still prefer meeting people in person. I think I kind of still prefer the idea of having beer with somebody in person, but think about the potential of, let's say I'm in Italy on a ship and I'm hanging out over here and I want to play poker, and I can invite my friends through the metaverse, this virtual reality world. And it's my setting, my world essentially, that I scanned from the real world into the virtual world. And now we can all hang out and play poker together. And it feels like we're there in person. I think that'd actually be pretty dang cool, especially with how we're becoming so scattered and so many people are moving to different places because we kind of work virtually. And I'll tell you, Zoom meetings just ain't the same. And so this is where the metaverse, in my opinion, crosses an element of reality to me. And it really wasn't until I thought about this potential partnership with Matterport, or this integration of things like Matterport technology, that I really started getting excited about the metaverse. Now, in full transparency, I own 0 Facebook stock and I own a lot of Matterport stock. But let's now jump into what we know about the metaverse, because what I just showed you is real 3D scanning technology, along with my speculation on what potentially a use case could be for the metaverse. Because otherwise, it just sounds a little arcane and something like, I don't know, children might do in a video game. But this, to me, made it feel real. Because after all, the metaverse is defined as a concept which is the crossroads of virtual reality and augmented reality. Virtual reality is when we put on virtual reality goggles or whatever and we're in a different space, like you joining my cruise. Augmented reality would be me being able to see on my goggles potentially virtual poker cards and poker hands. And I'll tell you, it'd be pretty cool to have a virtual dealer, because I'm pretty sure every time we play poker, nobody wants to be the dealer. But anyway, The cool thing is, the metaverse isn't really deemed an extension of the internet, like something you do on the internet. It's actually being considered the next step of the internet. It's like the evolution, the Pokemon evolved version of the internet. That is, you haven't even seen the internet in its final form yet. And so hopefully this makes more sense. So where did this come from? Well, this really came from a 1992 science fiction novel called A Snow Crash. And this is where meta is defined as beyond, verse is universe. And so if you're unfamiliar with Snow Crash, it's basically a 90s version of Ready Player One. And if you have not watched Ready Player One, the movie, just watch that, okay? It's great. The setting in both of these is similar. People basically seek refuge from a dystopian future within this fully virtual world, the metaverse. And so this is why, even though there are no real examples of this yet outside of the movie, I thought this example of integrating Matterport scans in sort of my destinations and sharing those destinations with people is the perfect potential use case for 3D scanning technology combined with the metaverse, essentially. It's taking a space that I'm in online. It's the easiest way that I can think about it. Now, earlier this year, Republic Realm, which considers itself a digital real estate firm, purchased an NFT of virtual real estate in the Decentraland for more than $900,000. So think about that for a moment. A company spent $900,000 purchasing the rights to digital real estate in a world that does not exist. And the main currency of this sort of Decentraland is called mana. And what's kind of interesting about this is that users in this world are constantly creating experiences for other users, and that the Decentraland is described as not a place, but rather an infrastructure on which to build a place. Now, again, this is really, really arcane, but I think of a place as something, as somewhere where we can go, right? So you're not really buying this digital representation of a place, but you're buying the opportunity, or this company is, you're buying the opportunity for other people to go there. So imagine, okay, let's back up from this Decentraland and sort of this arcane stuff again, because as soon as it gets a little like, whoo, okay, above my head, below my knees, this is a little too much. Now for a message from our sponsor. Look, getting into real estate. So let's do another example. Let's say that Disney creates a virtual version of the Animal Kingdom, okay? This right here is a concierge suite at the Animal Kingdom that I stayed in. It's a 2-bedroom. And what if Disney had the right to this basically 2-bedroom unit here, and we were able to lease this 2-bedroom unit and experience the Animal Kingdom from our homes in a room that we maybe dedicate to virtual reality or whatever, or a living room for that matter, whatever. But we could essentially walk out onto the balcony and look, oh, they're the giraffes, and we get some sort of real-time feed of the actual animals there. This was, by the way, a real virtual, well, it's a real Matterport scan that I took. So these are basically pictures of the actual place that I stayed. But these could easily, with technology that we have now, be turned into a virtual world that we could walk around in. I would expect almost that this virtual world technology would kind of just beautify some of the objects, get rid of some of the graininess, if there's dirt or whatever, kind of clean that up and just make it all look like the beautiful filter on Instagram. But now you want to go to the Animal Kingdom with me, but you don't want to fly to Florida. You don't want to spend the money to go in this, but you want to hang out at the Animal Kingdom or even go through the park. Boom, let's go. Let's go visit it. And I imagine at first these experiences would be more visual. Like I don't see us yet going on roller coasters and experiencing that. Although, if you kind of want to feel potentially what sort of the metaverse could make you feel like, if for experiencing like virtual roller coasters, if you've ever gone to the Universal Hollywood Harry Potter ride, they have this sort of like crane that has you in a seat, and they drive you around, and then they put you in front of this circular screen, and it makes you feel like you're Harry Potter on a broomstick flying around, because the thing's kind of rocking you around, and you've got this immersive experience with sound and wind and everything in front of you, and it makes you feel like you're flying around virtually, but you're really just in this chair that's just moving around a little bit, and then there's some fan blowing in your face, right? Really interesting, especially if the ride shuts down on you, which has happened to me 3 times. And then you can kind of go like, this is how they make you feel like it. Kind of another way to sort of relate the real world to the virtual world and give you kind of a feeling as to how some of these things could work in the future. Because again, every time I think about like concerts and parks and rides in the Decentraland, I'm like, how? It doesn't make sense, but when I relate it to reality, it makes more sense. See, and in the Decentraland today, there are actually casinos where people can gamble their mana against the dealers who are paid by the casino owners in mana. And the dealers in the Decentraland are actually real people who are somewhere, and you interact with them in the metaverse. So the metaverse has so many implications, and it doesn't just have to do with you coming over my Animal Kingdom site and hanging out with me to gamble or drink beer, although both of those sins sound really, really fun right now, and I'd rather be doing that right now. Okay, I'm just kidding. I like making my videos. But that is also very fun. But anyway, according to JP Morgan, the key concepts of the metaverse are the linkage between the virtual and the real world, and really the goal is to try to get you to spend money and to be social. So if you think about it, look, if I can go rent an Animal Kingdom space tonight, like this, imagine this. It's like, okay, Lauren, where do you want to go for date night? Well, we've gone to the same tiki hut like every single date night the last 17 times. Why don't we do something different? Hey, what if we go to the Animal Kingdom tonight and we go to the Animal Kingdom show they're having in Florida by just putting on our reality headsets? Now we're going to spend the money. We're going to spend more money to go to this, right? So we're paying a ticket admission cost, and every night we could be anywhere. Hey, you know what? Let's go to the event they're having at the Great Wall of China. And, you know, maybe they've Matterport scanned this thing up or whatever, or maybe they're even live Matterport scans. I have no idea how this might work in the future. I expect the difference between a Matterport scan now and a live feed 3D scan isn't that impossible to do. It just has to be stitched together in real time, which I know we already have live feeds of 360 cameras, so I think the technology already exists. But now again, me as an investor, I'm always trying to put my head on is like, okay, where is this going to make more money? And I'm thinking, dang, this could make really good money for tourist destinations. It's really bad for airlines. It's horrible for airlines, but it's great for people like concerts, venue crews. I mean, like, what if you want to go to a rave and you've never been to one, and you're like, I kind of want to try one without actually being there? Oh yeah, you're there, all right? Interesting. Now, I suppose that makes dancing with other people probably less interactive, but so there are definitely some things you're still going to want to do in person, right? I don't think this is designed to really be a replacement of like going clubbing, for example, and hanging out with other people in person. So you can't really functionally dance with somebody as well, I believe, in the virtual world as you could in person. But you know, being able to go on different date nights or different experiences with your friends and family or whatever, or your spouse, I think is actually really cool, especially if you want it to be mostly visual and you don't want to otherwise travel there. Or why bother traveling there if you're like some people, if you're going to go somewhere for a visual experience like a museum or a concert, mostly visual, right? Auditory. I mean, in some sense, virtual could be good enough. Kind of interesting. Not trying to take away from concerts, okay? I love going to concerts too. I just like having fun. Anyway, a lot of tech giants are all trying to figure this out. Like, they're having these same conversations that I'm kind of having with myself and you right now, although I know this is a very one-sided conversation. But anyway, Facebook announced in July that it was creating a product team to work on the Metaverse specifically, and a lot of this obviously has to do with Facebook, because now Facebook is changing their name from Facebook to Meta. Now, they're still going to be Facebook, but it's kind of like Google and Alphabet. The corporate name became Alphabet for Google, and Facebook's actually changing their ticker symbol from FB to Mverse, MVRS apparently, starting at the end of this year, which is pretty incredible. But anyway, Facebook is really trying to go deep on this. And the goal here is really to provide a way for as many players as possible to build a business in the metaverse, to make money in the metaverse. So, you know, in some sense, I'm just, again, trying to put my head into this. Like, think about this. Imagine you did a virtual scan of your property, and I was able to visit your property in the metaverse and consult with you on the renovation you were thinking about doing. And all I had to do was have my little 3D thing on, and it was kind of like, join Michael's home tour. yeah, Michael, don't do this, or whatever, right? And I'm able to consult with you in person, but not in person. Like, that's a dope business. Think about being a trainer, you know, a workout trainer. I don't know, some things you probably have to physically like help people with, but there's some really cool opportunities here. Like, who remembers We Fit, okay? I don't know, probably like 10% of the people watching. I don't know, hopefully more, but anyway. We Fit was something else. Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it, except, I don't know, I just didn't keep playing it very long. But anyway, Facebook Pay, by the way, is now, as a result, moving into this space as well. They're actually moving Facebook Pay, which I didn't even know they had Facebook Pay, like Apple Pay, but they have Facebook Pay. They're moving this to the Navi branded crypto wallet, so everything's going to be under the Navi brand. Remember that Diem is going to be their currency, and Navi is the wallet. Mark Zuckerberg has stated that he already prefers doing his meetings in VR if possible, citing that it's much more collaborative and productive. Now, most people don't like Mark Zuckerberg, so I'm going to try to limit my exposure to Mark here. But anyway, Oculus, by Facebook, launched something known as Horizon Workrooms. And these workrooms allow teams to collaborate and develop in sort of a virtual world, which kind of makes me think of EXPI, this stock for EXPI real estate, where essentially in this this virtual brokerage, you can go to meetings to learn about how to sell real estate better by being in sort of virtual collaborative meetings and showing up to these meetings with your character, your virtual representation of yourself. It's kind of cool. Which, by the way, if you want to join and become an agent at EXPI, I highly recommend you do. Just go to metkevin.com/EXP. That's metkevin.com/EXP. And you can become an agent at EXP Real Estate. Lauren hangs her license there, and it's awesome. So check it out. Lauren's my wife, in case you don't know. But anyway, so the Horizon Workrooms is a place where apparently you could actually write on group whiteboards, and it's really interactive. It's a beta, kind of interesting. Again, it starts kind of escaping how I could associate me actually physically writing, but I suppose it would be no different from me taking like a stylus and writing on an iPad, except I don't have that physical feedback. I don't know. Maybe I get a pad or something. Who knows? But anyway, Google, Microsoft, Samsung, Sony have joined Facebook, and a bunch of group tech companies, and their goal is to shape the future of experimental reality, which I suppose that means in the future, maybe we'll have to add like some like free lectures in my courses on building your wealth, where I like walk through scenarios in the real world, but in the virtual world. That would be really cool. Which, remember, if you buy any of my programs on building your wealth, you get lifetime access to them. There is a coupon code expiring on October 29th in the evening. The price goes up a little bit every time the coupons expire, so check that out. Link down below. You lock in a lifetime of value with these. Once you're in. There's no upsell to like unlock more content or whatever, unless you're looking at a totally different product. Because remember, I've got 5 different products. So stocks and psychology of money, that'll always be one, and you'll always get the new content for that, right? And that's different from like real estate investing or making YouTube videos, real estate agent sales, and things like that. So check those out down below. Most popular bundle, by the way, is the real estate investing group and stocks and psychology of money. So Mark Zuckerberg also mentioned that the name Facebook doesn't encompass everything, so that's why now they're going into Meta. They own Meta.com, which redirects to Facebook. Zuckerberg owns at Meta. Starting December 1st, Facebook will start trading under a new ticker symbol, MVRS. This is, again, similar to how Google rebranded itself, which begs the question, what's going to happen to FANG? If Facebook is now Meta and Google is now Alphabet, maybe now we're going to get something like MAN. We'll see what happens. Meta, Amazon, Alphabet, Apple, and Netflix. Oh, man. According to a Bloomberg Intelligence article, by the way, all consumer brands need now, and this is a big one, okay, a chief metaverse officer. Yeah, chief metaverse officer. And the vision here is that the future of the metaverse isn't a specific place or thing, but rather, again, it's the next level of interconnectedness. And it's like I described, it's a way for us to interact with people that we haven't been able to do so before, whether that's for job interviews or for actually showing up in the office without showing up in the office. In the future, we might look back at our current internet as actually kind of like primitive. Like, I watched The Bourne Identity the other day, and they're sitting in one of these internet cafes, and they're going on websites, and oh my gosh, the website's from like 2003 3 look horrible. And I remember those. Like, who remembers AOL Instant Messenger? AIM? Oh my gosh. Anyway, the response so far to Facebook's rebranding has been pretty mixed, especially the response to Zuckerberg's commercial. People wonder if it's a joke. Now, the people who know about the Metaverse concept prior to, or have known about it since prior to the Facebook announcement, are mostly excited about Facebook embracing the future of the internet. Obviously, privacy is a big concern here, especially when it comes to Facebook. The concern is compounded by the fact that Facebook is already not widely trusted, right? So even without the Metaverse, there are already some privacy groups that are monitoring Facebook for tracking issues like, hey, you know, are people tapping into the cameras and our front-facing cameras on our laptops or our phones? How much are we actually being tracked with GPS data? Are employers going to take surveillance to the next level of surveillance through this, right? If you're in the Metaverse, can like literally everything you do be tracked here? You know, reading through Twitter this morning, a lot of people are viewing the Metaverse as like a glorified virtual reality chat. And I think this really associates it with this sort of Zoom nature. And I hope that my examples so far, by talking about Matterport, which the stock, by the way, is skyrocketing today because of this news, I think my talk about Matterport and this potential use case for going to events or different date nights is really a more realistic example of how great the Metaverse could be. And it also helps distance ourselves a little bit from, well, Facebook. So now, also on Thursday, the developers of a blockchain-based game called, quote, The Age of Rust, tweeted that they were notified by Valve that Steam is blocking all applications built on the blockchain technology that issue or allow the exchange of cryptocurrency NFTs. And so this is just an example. This was last Thursday, by the way. This is just an example where you still have, you're so new in this technology that you're still having companies kind of fight over like, hey, wait a minute, we don't want you to sell NFTs here because we want to get our fee. You're supposed to buy stuff through the Steam store, and we want like our 30% cut. You know, this is very similar to what happened with Apple here. You know, Valve's rationale here is that they don't want real money being traded for game items. But let's be real, money is being traded for game items all the time. Just think about CSGO, you know, skins, Rust, TF2, you know, Team Fortress 2. Skins are being bought, and these are just basically clothing that we can wear in theory in the Metaverse, right? And this is interesting because Valve's basically already said that these NFTs, you know, digital representations, have real world value. But let's be real, we know that Steam just kind of wants their cut. Again, very similar to Apple versus Epic Games lawsuit. Judge, by the way, sided with Epic Games, stating that Apple can no longer prohibit developers from pointing to other means of payment beyond Apple's own payment system, but basically reiterated that if you're going to use Apple's payment system, you have to pay Apple their commission. And so what's interesting here is we're going to see, back to Metaverse here, we're going to see a lot of fighting between companies about, okay, how are we going to navigate this Metaverse space? Who's going to pay whom a commission? Who owns the characters? Who owns the space that we're hanging out in? Personally, I think that if I go to the Animal Kingdom via the Metaverse, you know, again, here I am in this suite that we had to spend like $1,500 on a night to be in. Hey, look at that! That's us. Oh my gosh, look, I look so different. I don't have green hair. Oh, that's a cool picture. See, look, we were there in the virtual. Oh man, I want it back. Oh, that was really cool. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh, that's actually really cool. That was right before COVID. But oh man. Anyway, that's so cool. But anyway, it really gives us this feeling that, hey, like Disney deserves some payment here, right? We're using their space. But anyway, it's worth noting that so far this month, 4 Metaverse-themed exchange-traded funds have already been listed on the Korean Stock Exchange. The business model behind blockchain-powered games, especially like play-to-earn games, are also taking off. And ETFs are trying to take advantage of this movement. They're trying to buy things like Matterport or Vuzi, the virtual reality headset. I did not really like Vuzi glasses, but it's not the headset, it's the glasses. Didn't really like the Vuzi glasses when I ordered them, but maybe I'll have to give them another chance. But we're seeing a lot of businesses being created around the metaverse already. Now, this pay-to-earn thing is really interesting. There's something called Axie Infinity. And so Axie Infinity has AXS tokens already listed on multiple exchanges. And JP Morgan reported that as of October 4th, the market cap of Axie Infinity has reached $8.3 billion, much higher than the $30 million market cap that it had on January 1st of this year. The game, by the way, recorded $196 million of monthly revenue from July 2021 and $364 million of revenue in August 2021. So it's kind of blowing up, and this is Axie Infinity. And there's also a well-known Korean Japanese gaming company called Nexon, and they're currently developing Project Mod. This is an upcoming platform, and it's believed to be a metaverse that leverages off the game's intellectual property. Disney's already trying to NFT, or basically tokenize, things like Spider-Man or other things because they know the metaverse is coming and people are going to want to play these sorts of characters. So this is really this brave new world. You've also got Nvidia stock that's jumping on this news, mostly because you're going to need some pretty incredible server technology and graphics technology to make this happen, and Nvidia is all in on this, especially with AI. Like, think about it, there is an element of artificial intelligence that goes into even 3D scanning to stitch these pictures together, but then also I expect in the future to not just stitch the pictures together, but to beautify them and to fill in gaps that cameras didn't see. Like, a camera doesn't know what's under the table, but it can kind of make that assumption, right? And artificial intelligence will probably be able to put that together, which is kind of scary, but also really, really cool. NVIDIA is also having their GPU technology conference on November 8th through 11th online. There will be more than 500 sessions covering things like robotics, deep learning, graphics, and a lot more. They're expected to have over 200,000 online attendees. And one of the sessions will be the vision for the metaverse. You'll have a lot of panelists on there, like the CEO of Epic Games, the chief scientists at Roblox, Tencent Games, SK Telecom, NVIDIA folks, MetaStage folks, Cesium folks, you name it. And there'll be a lot of sessions, including folks coming from Disney, Lockheed Martin, you name it. So you can really see almost all companies are starting to pay attention to this. The Omniverse, by the way, is also considered a metaverse for engineers. This is a product by NVIDIA. So, if you're really excited about the metaverse, NVIDIA is another one to consider taking a peek at. Of the things I've mentioned here, I'm invested in, I did invest in AXS, also invested heavily in Matterport, which if you ever want to know when I buy or sell something, immediately when I do, remember the Stocks and Psychology of Money group does that. I include alerts for every kind of transaction I make in the Stocks and Psychology of Money group. But anyway, developers and software providers are obviously building on this like crazy. I mean, BMW is already working on building a digital factory so that they can train people in a digital factory before they go work in a real factory. And isn't that crazy? Like, these are real examples that we're seeing here. Now, about a day ago, GameStop also posted a job listing hiring a head of Web3 gaming, so version 3 of the web, making it clear that GameStop's also looking to get into the metaverse. They said they're looking for someone with experience with Ethereum, NFTs, and blockchain-based gaming platforms. And back in May, GameStop also created a page to tease their in-house NFT marketplace. GameStop really appears to have already created an ERC 721 standard token, which is used to create NFTs. By the way, I also recently acquired my very first NFT. It is a jungle cat, and it's kind of paying homage to a little bit of the green hair, and I made some videos wearing a hazmat suit back at the beginning of COVID, and so I thought this was a really cool sort of throwback to the beginning of the pandemic and to now. So it's sort of a merger of the two. But anyway, I really like this one. So take a look at this. This is a jungle cat. And in full transparency, I was gifted this jungle cat. I did select this, but I was gifted this. I always want to be very transparent with my audience. But it's awesome. It is my first NFT, and it's really, really cool. So thank you to the Jungle Cat squad, and also shout out to Solana. So folks, this is amazing. I mean, this has been a longer video than I thought, but I'm actually excited about this. Like, Axie, really excited about it. Got 6 figures in it. Matterport got over 7 figures in this. And I think this is just the beginning, folks. So, very excited. Thank you so much for being here. And, folks, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks again. Goodbye.